we're diving in, Claire. Shall we do this?
Yeah.
It's on the record. Claire Foy and I, at least in the top 20 percentile of my favorite guests on Happy, Sad, Confused.
Wow. Like 20%. I only make it 20%. Wow.
20 to 25. No, you are the creme de la creme. Stop it. Stop it. You know I love you.
Gosh, that's harsh.
It's
so harsh.
It's beyond words. Wonderful to see you. As you know, we're doing a 3-hour deep dive into the 10th anniversary of Season of the Witch today. So thank you for agreeing to that.
God. Thank God. Oh.
A drinking game for me that I always have to bring up Season of the Witch for you. That's just like it's contractually part of my deal. Sorry.
I'm so glad that someone has watched it. 2 remembers it, and 3 is also acknowledging. It's more than 10 years. Actually, you're wrong. It's got to be like 13 years.
That's not true. I did the math. It premiered in like January of 2011. Again, as we were saying before we started, time has no meaning anymore. Trust me on this.
I shot it in 2008. So
yeah. Okay.
In my head.
They took some time in the edit to craft the brilliance.
Oh yeah, they did a couple of reshoots as well, which you never would guess when watching it.
Brett Ratner, as I understand it, the
yeah.
Anyway, so are you home? Am I catching you in your abode?
I'm in London. Yeah, this is not my official abode. This is my temporary abode. Okay. I'm renovating my abode.
Got it.
Which is a great thing to do in Brexit and COVID. It's really wise. But yes, I'm surrounded by my possessions in a rented accommodation.
As you
Are you in your abode?
I'm in my abode. I know it looks behind me like I live in the.
I don't like those windows.
No, it looks like the dingiest part of New York. Trust me, I actually live in a decent part of town, but it's yeah.
Is that like a hall? Is that like a stairwell, or can you see into people's apartments?
It's just a green screen. It's for character. No,
okay.
Yeah, it's Rear Window style. I'm Raymond Burr. I'm
yeah. I'd just be looking in all the time.
The first time we had the extended chat was in my office, of course. You and Matt was preoccupied with my nerdy crap. So I haven't been there in a year and a half. I like to imagine, by the way, that there is, I don't know if you remember that crazy photo I have of you, of that insane face you made. I have that in a frame in my office. I like to imagine that there is like moss growing on it.
Yeah, like Day of the Triffids.
Exactly.
It's taking it back.
Exactly.
Mother Nature is reclaiming your office.
It's nature's time now. But yeah, so the playing field is now even. You're in an abode of some sort. I'm in my abode. Catch me up a little bit. It's obviously been an eventful couple of years for all of us, to say the least. You've been shooting some stuff. Was there where were you at? Well, actually, here's what I remember. I remember when the shit went down, I was getting excited because I was going to hopefully see you and Matt take lungs to Brooklyn. Do I have that right? Yeah.
We were supposed to fly. We were like 2 weeks out from flying over. And I'd already said it wasn't happening in my head. And I was saying to everyone, I think this is serious, guys. But everyone was sort of keeping on pretending it was happening.
Right.
For a really until 3 days before we were supposed to fly, and then they were like, no, the whole of Broadway shut down. And then it was that weird thing, wasn't it, where it was like, we're planning to when it comes back in May, we're planning for when it comes back in September, we're planning for when it comes back in January, and it was just heartbreaking. But yeah, very glad that I stayed here and didn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't out there and having to try and get back, because it was such a kind of unknown, wasn't it, at that time, about what was going to happen.
Was there a period of time of just kind of shock and like, okay, I'm going to lay low until I figure out some semblance of a plan, or was there an impulse to like try and find some semblance of work to distract yourself from the insanity? Like how much downtime was there versus when you started to do some work again?
Well, I mean, I hadn't really done anything. I'd done a play and I'd shot Louis Wain actually, and like done press for stuff, but I hadn't really done anything that I had thought was like completely all consuming, or like in my head something that wasn't just fun and nice to do. Like for about 2 years, like I hadn't done anything really, and so I was sort of like ready to crawl out from under my rock and be like, here I am, ready to start work again.
Is the world ready for me? Oh, global pandemic, I guess the world is ready for me.
So there was a bit of me that was just like a lot. I was a bit like, But no, I think I'm quite good at accepting the reality that I'm in, really. And there was something really when it was less scary, when it started to get less scary and the numbers of people dying was coming down, and it was, you know, it was like a few months in, it was like the most beautiful summer here in England, and life just got very simple, didn't it? It just was really, really simple. I was really lucky because in the UK we were allowed to go out for walks and things like that, and so there was something really reassuring about someone just going, you have no choice at all, but you barely have choice in what you can eat, so you have to do this and just shut up. And that was something I think that quite a lot of people probably needed, was no choice anymore.
Yeah.
And then I did have, you know, like there's this amazing thing that one of the most amazing things about this industry, there was this amazing kind of resurgence of like talking to people in meetings and discussing things with people, because it was so easy to all of a sudden, because everybody was at home and was able to fit in an hour or an hour and a half at some point to speak to someone who was in LA or New York or London or whatever on Zoom. So I spoke to people that I've wanted to speak to for years or discuss things, and actually found stuff that I was really like, I was so excited by, and that I hadn't felt like that for quite a while. Are
you talking about like kind of like filmmakers or potential collaborators that you just like had it on the list to kind of like try to meet up with? And it's like now, yeah, for me, to make it about me, of course, as I always have to. It's like it was like, oh, yeah, this is a really easy time to book things on the plus side. Nobody has an excuse. If Claire says no to me, that just means she hates me. Basically.
But also, yeah, and everyone's just desperate for interaction with different people, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was really amazing. And also I was really there was a terrifying moment of thinking, you know, film sets are, and theatre. I think the thing that theatre was the thing that worried me the most, and because that was the thing I just finished doing. It was like really terrifying. So me and Matt did the play, but like virtually, which was really sad.
How did that work? Were you guys were together, but it was virtually for the audience? Like you were in the same space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we had to be 2 meters apart from each other at all times, with like basically a stick between us all the time.
A metaphorical stick, not an actual stick, I hope.
Yeah. No, there's sometimes an actual broom handle. Like, I'm not joking. Between us, the amazing stage manager, which was because like no one had done it. It was the first kind of virtual play, and no one had done it before. So it was like we could really ruin this for everybody if we go anywhere near anyone else. But then it meant it was slightly strange, because we would you'd finish doing the show without any audience at all, so it was just into a vacuum of your own voice coming back at you and just going, oh, I hate myself. And then you'd finish the play and we couldn't even hug each other or have a drink. So we'd just be like, okay.
Yeah, you just kind of
everybody.
Awkwardly walk to your corner. Yeah, like.
Yeah. And like Matt dies at the end of the play, not to give it away. But like it was really like, okay.
No, that's fascinating. Really, there's so much of theater is the ritual of it, right? It's it's everything that goes before and after is just like in your bones. Like this, it must have felt alien in many ways. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and also because we did it in the space, we did it in the theatre that we'd originally done it in.
Right.
So we were doing it. It wasn't a rehearsal, because some really impressive and very famous people ended up watching. It was really bizarre what ended up happening, but because there was nothing on anywhere, like, you know, very impressive people watched it, which was really hard to get my head around. But we were like, knew they were watching it, but still it was like, I can't have the energy they're not here, are they?
Who was, give me an example. Who did you know that was checking it out?
Steven Spielberg watched it. Isn't that hilarious?
Did you know before or after or what?
I knew. Matt didn't want to know. I was like, it might help.
Did you drop some like ET references into the show? Be like, by the way, favorite movie ever.
Yeah, just that. Yeah. No, just, I mean, but that's just very bizarre, because it's, I don't know, just very bizarre that we were in a little theatre in London doing this very strange thing that made us quite depressed, but people were watching it like millions of miles away. It's very strange.
So obviously, I've experienced what it's like to chat with both you and Matt together, which is utter insanity. There must be two different modes, I'm guessing, from the amount of times you've collaborated together and created great work. There must be a time and a place where you guys are professional enough to know to switch it off. I guess just give me a sense, like back on The Crown, was it like, okay, time to get to work, or what? Were you both kind of easily distracted or amusing each other too much? Like, how tough is it to get shit done when you're working with Matt?
When we saw you, we were very, we were at the height.
You were punch drunk a little bit. Yeah,
because you were there, and also because we weren't working, and that, I think if we're given free rein and we were just fanning around, it would be a real problem. But basically, what would happen when we were working together is, especially when we're on The Crown, a conversation would begin. We'd do the scene, and then the conversation would start again. But also, we were miserable people, miserable gits. All we did was moan. It's like, I will say this of Matt, and I think it's true of myself also, but I think he probably brings it out in me more. Like, love and moan. They do say that that's what you call, like you call a group of crows, like a murder of crows, and
right.
A pod of dolphins. And there is a joke that it's a moan of actors, because that's basically what we do. We all sit together and go, even though we're incredibly privileged and very lucky to be here,
sure,
and being paid, we're going to complain about anything. So,
anything. Yeah. Maybe this is the
up.
Secret why I'm decent at my job. I like to moan myself, even if I'm not a professional. So
I really wanted to not moan, but it still comes out of me every time.
Let's spread the good word on a couple of your exciting new projects, both of which I've checked out. First up, I've caught up with both of your gentlemen co-stars recently. The madman that is James McAvoy. Always love McAvoy. I know you guys go way back. This new film is insane. We'll explain why.
It's insane.
It's called My Son. But first, give me a sense. Yeah. I know you and James worked on, do I call it the Scottish play? Am I allowed to say, where do you stand on it? Macbeth.
Yeah, it's very Harry Potter, that. I've been listening to a lot of Harry Potter audiobooks, not of my own choice, but Hermione very wisely says, fear of a thing only increases fear of something itself, or whatever. And that's what I feel about Macbeth. I'm like, come on, I'm quoting Harry Potter.
I love
That's
it.
how culturally starved I
You could do worse.
Oh my God, I love them.
So was that the first time you and James collaborated on Macbeth? And what did you guys click immediately? What do you remember that experience?
So
this was on stage in 2013, I think, right? Around then.
Oh yeah. This is on stage. So we knew each other because we knew people in common. And so we sort of knew each other. And then when Macbeth came along, it was really, I remember it very clearly. It was just before Christmas, and I hadn't worked for a while, and I was really like, I didn't want to do anything shit. I want to do something good. And I didn't want to do any more TV. I want to do some theatre, blah, blah, blah. And so I'd waited quite a while. And then Jamie Lloyd, who directed it, was like, is a hero anyway. He's such an extraordinary director. And actually Serrano, that James did, which is amazing, was supposed to come to New York as well. So if you ever do get a chance to see it, go and see that, because he's so annoying. He's so good. He is so good. It's painful to watch him. He's so good. Anyway, so I love Jamie Lloyd, and then I heard James was in it, and it was Macbeth, and it was going to be Scottish, and it was just one of those ones where I was like, well, this is just, why am I even bothering? And so then I went, and then I got it, and it felt like, I was like, oh my God. Like, it felt so important to me. It was like a real moment in my career. And then I did it. And James is just, you know him, like, he's just so down to earth and, staunchly normal, and but just so really incredibly talented.
Yeah.
And doing the play with him was just amazing, because he creates such an energy as well, and he's such a good laugh, and he's so good on a night out, and just he's just a legend. I do think he's a legend.
I 1,000% agree, and he's excellent in this, as are you. So let's give him a sense of this very unusual kind of undertaking. This is, well, I mean, you'll be better able to explain than me. This is, James doesn't know the story. He knows some broad strokes of his character. so what do you get? Is how much is your part is scripted? How much can it be scripted? This is a partially improvised film that's been done before in different languages, I believe, or different countries.
Yeah, in French. Yeah. So I had the same director. So Christian, who directed the French version, directed this version as well. And I tell you something, my part was very difficult because I knew the story. So all of us who knew it had a week's rehearsal before James came along, where we all rehearsed with this lovely guy who was standing in for James to get an idea of where the camera would go, so that there was no setup time and that James basically walked into the scene and was ready to go and the camera's in position. But then it's like, well, you just have to hope that he does. And I know him, and I was like, this could go either way with that guy. Yeah. He could either be like completely silent and watchful and want to know what's going on, or he's going to come in 100 miles an hour and ask every single question and demand of me answers that I will go, I'm sorry, James McAvoy, I don't know, because improvising scares me. And so hence why I really wanted to do it, actually, because I just was like, what a terrifying proposition. And so Christian gave a vague outline of what the story was and what things he needed me to say, but then he was very much like, and then you'll do it. I was like, okay. Oh God. And so it was terrifying, because I thought, what if he just goes off piece and I've got to rein him back in? And also it's very difficult because you've got to give, I'm the only person who can give plot points, and I've got to give plot points to the audience, but also for him.
Right.
And he's got to go over there. I've got to tell him to go over there, and I don't know how I'm going to tell him to go over there in a natural, non-weird way. Like, they want you to go over there. So it was really odd. And also because I knew him, and our kids go to the same school. So I was like, I can't see him, because if I see him, I'm going to tell him what happened. I'm not going to. Like, I'm that person. I once ruined someone's surprise birthday party in Bennett by saying, enjoy Bennett. So I was like, I'm the worst possible person to do this job. So I just basically ignored him, and he was like, what's happened to my mate? Why she being so mean?
What a fascinating challenge. Exciting. Yeah. Well, I would think also from an acting perspective, like those kind of, I mean, that's an exceedingly rare experience. That shakes it up in the best possible way. Like, I think of something in a different way. I think of your shoot with Soderbergh on Insane, which was, I think, infamously a very short shoot. It was on the iPhone. Like, is that often or sometimes as much part of the allure as anything, kind of the methodology of? Oh yeah,
anything that is just different. Like, the last thing I want to do is become jaded and just be like, predictable. And when you do find that creeping in, it takes all the magic away from it. And I just wanted to always feel magical and exciting. And it's, you don't get that on every job, obviously. But when the opportunities do come along, you've got to take them. And that's why with this job, I was like, this is so scary. And I could be so awful in this. But it's not really, but I wasn't really doing it for anything other than basically the experience. And I think that James feels that as well. Like, basically, James was saying, have you heard of You, Me, Bum Bum Train?
No, that has not come up in my conversations with him yet.
I knew that you would like that word. But You, Me, Bum Bum Train is like this immersive theatre experience in London where you pay to basically be taken on this journey. And James is like, I would pay money to do this. He loves it. He's like, what's happening? What's going on? Oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to be feeling. Like, he loves it.
Oh, sure. There's like Sleep No More. Do you know that one? That's like here in New York. These like interactive theater experiences. Sure.
Yeah, like that.
The other film we should definitely mention, which is a very unique, special piece of work, I think, I'm sure you'll agree, is Electrical Life of Louis Wain. It's you and Benedict Cumberbatch again. We're going to just disgustingly be effusive about another co-star of yours, I'm sure.
Who I've also worked with before. I mean, apparently there's no one else.
You've got like four dudes you just rotate between, basically.
I need to mix it up, man.
This is a very particular, specific, sweet, odd piece of work, though. It's kind of like about these kind of damaged misfits that somehow kind of find each other, and it's in its very own specific key I was talking to Benedict the other night when I ran into him at the New York Film Festival. He was effusive about you and the director. Thinks there's like a huge future for Will Sharp. Talk to me about a little bit what makes this one, obviously not My Son unique, but unique in other different distinct ways.
I think it was really unique because it was Ben's production company, so it was Sonny March who were producing it, and Adam and Leah who are part of that. They're just amazing. I love their company. I think they're amazing, and they've got such good taste, and they're so exciting. And so it was unique because the last time I'd worked with Ben was on this tiny independent film, which, you know, was good and bad. We just sort of had this hilarious, very odd time on it. And I was stepping into someone's shoes, basically. It was very, very short notice. Someone pulled out and I was like, Ben like texted me. I was like, ooh. I was like, okay, I'm not doing anything.
He's like going through the Rolodex of like top 5 great actors.
Who can I ask? And then I spoke to Will. Me and Will have this really weird thing where when I read the script, and I'd seen Flowers and thought it was extraordinary, but I was like, I don't get it. Like, to me, this reads like a period drama. Am I an idiot? He was like, yes, you are. Because it's not, because I'm directing it. And I was like, okay, sure. But I think I was quite fearful of it, of that sort of, you know, biopic period drama sort of thing, that I didn't get it. And then I stepped onto set and I went, oh no, hang on. And actually we did a week's rehearsal before, and I suddenly went, oh, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot.
Well, you should have known from the first line of your character is, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" That's you're ready. That's all Claire needs. That should be the opening line of every character you ever play.
I know, it's great. And I was in a wardrobe. I loved it. I'm wearing funny little glasses and an orange wig. But basically from the off, it was completely unique.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Will's made him who he is as a filmmaker. Is everything's so eccentric and sort of kind. Weirdly, there's something really kind about the way he makes his films that feels so appreciative of filmmaking, and they're so beautiful. The shots were so beautiful, and I absolutely loved working with him, and him and Ben together. And it was just really joyous, even though it's sad, obviously. Like, it was a really joyous, lovely thing to do, because it was about two basically, you know, weirdos who pretty much most of us, really.
Yeah, I was gonna say can't relate at all. Don't worry. Are you a cat or dog person, Claire, or neither? There are no wrong answers here. I feel like
I have to get a dog, so I'm gonna go dog, but neither. To be honest, I'm not an animal person. I mean, I like them. I like looking at them. I appreciate them very much.
Did you grow up with animals at all, or no? Just not exposed, or just this is an active choice? I hate animals.
No, I don't. Don't you dare put words in my mouth. I don't hate animals. I said I appreciate them from a distance. No, I love animals. It's just, I suppose, yes, I did. I grew up with small animals. I grew up with rabbits and guinea pigs, all of whom died, or I killed, or like something traumatic happened. An ambulance is coming.
They're taking you away because you're.
Yeah, because I hate animals. I don't hate animals. I don't feel like I can say I'm an animal lover, because I don't think animals love me.
Oh, well, here's what I would say.
And that's okay.
Claire, I was never a big animal person. In this last year, my wife and I got a dog, and I've become that which I mocked for decades, and I am like the biggest. So, like, just to say, look, you've got a child to fill that gap, I suppose. But like,
we've got to put something in there.
Something in there.
Child, animal.
It's not too late to discover that you're a secret dog lover or otherwise. We don't know.
No, I do love them. It's just I do love them. So I have to get one anyway. I promised my child that we're getting one, so it's happening. And I just don't want to resent it. It's the whole poo thing, isn't it? It's the whole pick up its poo thing, which if I loved anything, I will pick up its poo. So that's human or animal.
Yeah,
that's fine. I better
pick
love
up Matt Smith's poo. As I understand it, he'll just poo anywhere. You just pick it up.
Yeah. Do I love Matt enough to pick up his poo? What a question. What a question.
And there is
yes, I think I do.
Oh, and that, my friends, is a promo for a podcast.
Don't you dare.
Oh yeah, I will dare. So can we okay, we have a bit more time. I'm curious about the time before The Crown, after school, before The Crown, in your career, when you're doing some fun, like Macbeth is in that period. Little Dorrit was a big miniseries for you. Did you feel like you were on a very specific path, or was that the period of life where you were kind of like, this is all exciting, I'm just trying shit out? And I mean, you were on I was surprised by this, you were on a pirate show with John Malkovich on a network. Like,
no, listen, that was not a good time.
In an alternate reality, Claire, you're on season 7 of Crossbones right now, and we're talking.
No, I would have very quickly asked to be killed. Was I killed? What happened at the end of that? I don't know.
I didn't know it existed until a couple of days ago, to be honest. So.
Oh wow. I had absolutely no idea what was going on. I think I never particularly. There were moments when I found it really exciting. There were things that happened that I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm doing this. This is really amazing. But mainly when I first started, it was basically just fear and sort of a bit of like misunderstanding how to do that for a living and also live a life. Like I was very confused the whole time and found it quite difficult. Like I just had normal jobs up until the age of 23, 24. And then suddenly to be like, just spend 6 months not doing anything was really difficult. Like I was like, this is not okay. What am I going to do with my days? I have no purpose. And I sort of was like, I remember saying to my agent, can I get a job? Just a normal job. And he was like, no, you need to be available. And I was like, so what am I going to do? What I now know now is what I probably should have done, is done exercise and stuff and, broadened my mind. But instead I just sort of sat there and ate jacket potatoes. So I don't know. I think before The Crown, I think that was in the time where TV wasn't considered to be anywhere close to film. Like if you were acting in TV, then you didn't exist basically in a whole entire genre. It was almost like you couldn't cross over from TV to film because that just didn't happen. Like who did that? That never happened. And so I'd done films and I'd gone up for films and I'd done small parts in films and things like that, but it was very clearly defined. And then I remember going up for The Crown and it being Netflix and this whole unknown thing and just thinking, well, this is going to be a disaster, isn't it? I mean, who's going to watch this? And it's going to just sort of disappear into like nowhere. What is and that, do you know what I mean? No one really knew what that was at that point. And so it was completely different. But I'd always been surprised by the jobs that I got and the things that came my way. And that was probably the most amazing thing about this. And it's different now because I don't audition as much as I would. I would much prefer to audition for every job, basically. For me, it feels much more reassuring than just someone saying you do this. Because when you audition for stuff as well, you give yourself a dry run at it and you go, oh, I'm going to do my best with this one, but I don't think this one's for me. Or, you can work on it and you can figure out. Whereas now you sort of have to hit the ground running and just be like, okay, this is my choice. Well, they trust,
they're like, oh, Claire Foy, big time award winner. She knows how to do anything. We don't need to test her. And you're like, wait.
No, I just think I'm a bit like, guys, if anything, I think, that does bother me.
So were you referenced this, like, were you going up for, like, were you auditioning for Game of Thrones or to be the Bond girl or to be, like, were you in that time, were you up for big things that almost happened? Or did you have near misses? You must have had one or two where you're like, oh, this is going to change my life. Oh, I can see it. There's one there.
No. So there are choices that I made, like Game of Thrones, for example, wasn't. I didn't want to go any further with that because of all sorts of things.
Okay.
Mainly the whole nudity situation. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's not gonna happen.
Got it.
But yeah, there were there is for everybody. There's so many things that I would basically, it would be me well, you get told it's you and someone else, but it could be you and like 25 other people, let's be honest.
Right.
But it would always be that thing where they go for a name or that thing. And I think that's just what happens. And I had this weird mentality where I never really had trouble with saying goodbye to something. I never really held on to things. And I think that's because the things that I really, truly, absolutely loved, that I put everything into, I ended up getting, and I wouldn't have put that much into it unless I'd really, I don't know, been desperate for it. But yeah, I never was really, there's probably loads of them, but none of them, that's the funny thing. If I'd have been in it, it wouldn't have been what it was.
Right.
And I think that even now, there's things that I have done or haven't done. And I think if I'd have been in that, there's no way it would have been that good. Or, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would never have lived the life that it did. And I just don't think you can hold on to any of those choices, really, until you're about 60 and you say, I used to be.
Exactly. I look forward to those conversations in 20, 25 years when we can really dig in.
God.
So let's talk one of my favorite subjects, comfort movies. I've dug into this with people the last year and a half. I asked you for your comfort movie. You had it down to Unfaithful in this one. I'm joking. I saw somewhere that you were a fan of that film.
I love Unfaithful.
No, hey, it's a great piece of work.
Not my comfort film, though. You don't want to watch that on a rainy afternoon.
I was going to say.
With your mum.
Yeah, bring the kids over. No, your comfort movie is an undeniable classic. Claire, tell us your comfort movie and in a nutshell, why this stuck out for you.
It's When Harry Met Sally, in a nutshell. And I'm amazed that no one else has picked it. I mean, that's shocking to me. It's like the epitome of a comfort film. I think I probably know every single word in it. I watched it from a very young age, which looking back now is probably not appropriate, but it's quite interesting because through different phases of my life, when I've watched it, it now means something. I now like genuinely now, I'm like, oh, I get that line.
Yeah.
Like when I was 17, I really didn't understand what that meant. It's just amazing. Anything with Meg Ryan in it is a comfort film. She's like a warm blanket, and it's funny and it's clever and it's heartwarming and it's, you know, just erring on the edge of just would never happen, but in real life, but that's always good. And it's everything. It's the food they eat, it's the way they walk, it's the clothes they wear, it's how she drinks out of an Evian bottle, it's like her Rolodex thing where she's got all her things like of the films in, it's everything.
What has it taught you about love and relationships, either as a child or coming back to it now? What are the lessons to be gleaned, you think, from When Harry Met Sally?
Wow.
There's some basic truths that are in there. I mean, Nora Ephron, of course. We should mention Rob Reiner directed, Nora Ephron wrote it. If you've been living under a rock the last 30 years, Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan and Carrie Fisher and Bruno Kirby, flawless.
I think everybody should watch. I think if you're a human being, you have to watch that film. It should be like what you have to do in life as a thing, because you don't get it until what's it taught me? I don't know. But his mate has a massive moustache. I love his massive moustache. So what's talking about love? I don't know, because there's lots of gender stereotypes in there that would now probably not be that great. But I think with the conviction with which they do it, you know, Meg Ryan's like this completely neurotic, sort of weirdly not passionate woman, although she obviously is. And then Billy Crystal's like just going shagging around, making women meow and stuff like that. And it just, there's that sort of side of it. But
wait, you're making the case against it. You're convincing yourself that you don't love it.
No, I'm not. I can never do that. But it's, I suppose that they row in it and they shout at each other. And the thing that I love about it is that he very clearly has this idea of a woman he will fall in love with and a woman he will be with and a woman that, and so does she. And ultimately, in the end, they're friends. And that's basically what means that they love each other. They love each other. And that's more important than a lot of things. If you find someone that you love like that and you think they're brilliant, then you're all right.
There are so many iconic scenes in it. I guess the one that just will be played until the end of time is the scene in Katz's with her simulating an orgasm, which, you know, there's a lot of lore around the scene. If you don't know it, I'm sure you do. I think it's Rob Reiner's mom that delivers the amazing line at the end of the scene, "I'll have what she's having." Brilliance.
So good.
I also didn't realize when I was reading up on it that apparently it wasn't scripted that way, like that she would actually simulate it, that she was going to talk about it, but it was Meg's idea.
Meg did it. Just love that Meg. Imagine being called Meg. Hi, what's your name? Meg.
You've got such a girl crush on Meg.
Oh my God, I love her so much. I love her so much. It's the way she walks, everything she dresses, like in French Kiss. I just want to be her.
French Kiss. That's a deep cut. Kevin Kline. Love the Kevin Kline. Come on.
Oh, he's always carrying around a little vine. He's always got the little vine. Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Would you have felt like, imagine yourself in that situation? You've gone to extreme lengths. Would you have gone there? Would you have felt comfortable going there?
I don't know whether I think what she did there was a very, very big move for women by just sort of going, do me a favor. Do me a favor. You don't understand anything that we're doing or saying at any point because you've never listened or care or even been bothered to. So I think her choice was just extraordinary. But also I think that what Harry Met Sally marks for me as well is like the beginning and basically probably a good like 6 years of rom-com where they weren't referencing. It wasn't like its own genre. Basically, it was genuine.
Right.
You know, even the way that the lady delivers the line, "I have what she's having," she wasn't delivering it to be a cliche, but now it feels like the rom-com is gone. Like it has died because we're too cynical or also too outward looking in. We can't be genuine in that moment. You know, it's really bizarre.
No, you're right. As you're talking about it, I'm thinking about it. Like it finds a really nice kind of like narrow lane between like the hyper real and the very like kind of like true to life. Like, I mean, it's a very New York film. Obviously, me growing up in New York, and when I see that that movie, I see my New York, even if it's a little bit like, you know, softer focus, a little bit, but it's not like so far removed. It traffics in real human emotion and real truths to relationships, even if it is a very like Hollywood movie. So it really finds that great balance.
It's what Sex and the City did really well, which was the fact that you still emotionally engage with it. And actually, I take that back because did you see? Is it Love Life? Is it Love Life?
I haven't seen it. In it. Yeah.
That was like the first thing that I feel like I've seen that I've gone, I believe it. I don't feel like it's like it's trying to be a genre.
Right.
It's, you know, it just is what it is. And it's okay. Like at what point people falling in love became like something that people don't want to watch. All I want to watch, basically, all the time. And it's all anyone ever cares about, ever. When you're, I mean, apart from obviously like, you know, Star Wars. But it's all you ever want to see, isn't it? You're just like, oh, when are they coming back on screen again? So I can just sit there and bask in the glow of them fancy each other. Just love it. Yeah. Love it.
So as we wrap up, what have you been, so you like Love Life, anything else you've been watching, you've been reading or listening to audio? Have you been reading your daughter the Harry Potter books, or you let the audiobooks do the work for you?
We need Stephen Fry to do it. Yeah. He's much better than I am.
Oh, you could do all the voices. You would be excellent.
Oh, I do love doing all the voices. Yeah, we leave him to do it, although that's one of the greatest regrets of my professional life, that I will never be in a Harry Potter film because they've already been made. I just would have loved to.
Was it not the right time? Like that like were you were never up for Potter? No.
No. I once went up for a part to play Daniel Craig. Don't
say Daniel Craig's mom. This is what's wrong with Hollywood.
Daniel Radcliffe's sister, but I didn't get that part. And also I don't think that film ever happened. No, I've been reading this. You can't read that because it's backwards. Shuggy Bane.
I don't know that.
It's amazing. It's really? It just won the book prize. It's amazing. What Normal People I watched about 4,000 times, hence the people were falling in love in it.
Yep.
That's all I want to watch. What else have
Did
I
you do any
watched?
binges? Did you go back and like fill in any gaps?
In a very dark spell, when then when there was nothing. I'm not very good anyway with keeping up with all the, because there's so much to watch. I'm just not very good at it. But when it was like award season time, I watched, I think, from series 1 to I think possibly 6 of ER.
Wow, that's a lot of episodes.
It's a lot of episodes. I had a lot of time. I was knitting whilst also watching ER. And that was more of a sort of memory exercise, in a way.
Does it hold up? I watched it all at the time, but yeah.
Some bits do, like some really do hold up. And also the episodes where they sort of went a bit artsy and they did like, it was all like one take, like one shot.
Or didn't they do live episodes? I feel like they did.
Yeah. And there were things that they did which you've seen have completely episodic television, like that idea. They just invented it basically, but each one was in its own little storyline. But but when it was all about, what are they called? George Clooney's character.
Yeah, Ross. Doug Ross.
Yeah, Doug Ross and Nurse Hathaway.
Joanna Margulies. Oh.
Yeah, that was, what a beauty. Like that was, the dream, because they were falling in love again.
Clairvoyant, romantic. We've discovered the ultimate romantic.
Terrible. If a film literally doesn't have any romance in it, I'm like, what? Why am I here?
What's the point?
I'm very discerning. But yeah, and then some bits of ER, I was a bit like, oh boy. But what I did, what I really loved about it was that, it was a very diverse cast. Like it was really, it's set in Chicago, isn't it? Chicago?
Yep.
The cold one. Yeah. So it was really amazing to see that, like 20, however many years ago it was, they were sort of on it.
Yeah. Eric LaSalle is as strong as any performer in that show. Great.
Yeah. But yeah, it was I became slightly obsessed with it because when, what's his name, got a brain tumor.
Oh, Anthony Edwards' character? Does he get it?
Yeah, Anthony Edwards, yeah.
Yeah.
I was obsessed that I had one. Like it was because I couldn't watch any medical program without going, I'm also going to die like that. Oh yeah, I'm going to get a pop. And people were always popping up blood in ER. Like that was like one symptom. And there's like a couple of symptoms where they like rub the bottom of someone's foot. Some things will be very useful in my life going forward, having watched it.
It's one of my favorite tropes in films ever is just the that thing of like the coughing up the blood in the handkerchief, and like, oh, they're gonna die in 4 scenes.
Oh hey, I have been in so many things where that happens. And I'm like, is it not? It's like this, it's like someone's died, slide down the wall or door, that sort of thing. It's the shortcut to, we haven't got time to go into this. The audience needs to know, dying on some sort of illness that involves coughing up blood. Anyone know what that might be? Tuberculosis?
Oh, sure. No. He died of consumption. All right, I'm sure I have to let you go to raise your child, but last thing, I promise. I'm just curious. I'm excited. Did you shoot the film with directed by Sarah Polley, the great Sarah Polley, and this insane cast?
Yeah, the great Sarah Polley. Yeah,
she's a very impressive woman.
She is.
I've always admired her acting, her directing. And you're in this with Frances McDormand.
Yeah,
Rooney.
I know.
It's the Elizabeth Salander support group comes together.
Yeah, it is. There we are, together forever.
Did you compare notes? Did you talk at all about that or no?
We had to. I mean, we had to talk about it.
You had to get it out of the open.
With the woman. Yeah. What we said, no one shall ever know.
Oh no.
But yeah, it was the most extraordinary cast. Oh my God. It was like the most amazing. So hard, like so hard. But yeah, Jessie Buckley, Ben Whishaw, some like Judith Ivey, Gina McCarthy.
This is did you shoot this in the last year? Actors. Did you shoot this in
I just shot it in the summer in Toronto. We just shot it in Toronto over the summer.
Amazing.
It was extraordinary, yeah.
Excellent. Well, I am very much looking forward to that. I'm very much looking forward to hopefully at some point actually breaking out of our Zoom boxes and seeing each other in person. Can you imagine? Can we even imagine?
I just started giving people like willy-nilly giving people cuddles. And I know that some people, it's quite bad. Some people look uncomfortable. And I'm like, sorry.
Again, to name drop our friend, when I ran into Benedict at this party, he's like, "Are we doing this?" I'm like, "Bring it in. We need it. I need it. I need me some Ben hugs."
He smells really good as well. He's a very clean person, Benedict.
Isn't he the best? God.
Always smells like freshly laundered.
He's so crisp and narrow and
I know.
Disgusting. Anyway.
He's so crisp and narrow and disgusting.
I don't know what this podcast has turned into. Congratulations on the double whammy that is My Son and the Electrical Life of Louis Wain. Everybody should check it out. And this has been a positive delight. I take it back. You're in the top like 3 percentile.
It's fine. I just hope that you know, I should imagine the top 25% is actually pretty good. No.
I had to like temper. I didn't want you to know how I really felt about you, because then you'd just be scared and run away.
Okay.
It's good to see you, my friend, as always.
You can tell me.
You can say no, like I need it.
You can tell me.
You can do